I'm Tree, and this is Project Transparency. So, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to talk about today. There are things. I've actually been thinking a little bit about why I started Project Transparency, and it was in response to a protracted disagreement I had with a friend of mine who, for some reason, was not getting that art is a negotiated space, that the intention of the artist is important, but it's more important what the audience brings to a piece of work and how they interpret it. It's about what is evoked for the viewer as much as what the artist intends to invoke. What the piece invokes for the artist themselves. Yes. Evidently, I cannot talk today. This is really exciting. And my lips bleeding for some reason. But yeah, it was a very long argument, and it was not even an argument, it was a disagreement. Which is strange, because this friend who I was having the disagreement with went to art school for 6 years. We met in art school, so... But Project Transparency grew out of that conversation. It was one of those things that I had been thinking about something like this to begin with, for a while, to show my art practice, to document my art making and my idea generating process, and that was the catalyst that caused it to happen. So yeah, I feel like I should be addressing these to her. And maybe I should. I should probably ask her first, though, if it's okay if I start addressing them to her. Community calendar. There is nothing going on this week, I don't think. The June Definitely Disappear is coming up on the 13th. I will be at Polito's Pizza again. I will have new prints, and theoretically I will have new and different and fun buttons. And speaking of things that new and exist, there are shirts and things that I have designed that are on, like, Redbubble, and I'm very excited about them. Especially the snails, because all the snails seem to be, like, moving off into space, as does the Cephalobunny, which is very cool for me. There are things on Redbubble, and I will be at Polito's Pizza, and I'm still waiting to hear about DashCon, though, don't get your hopes up, y'all, because the likelihood of that this late in the game is, like, about that much. Somebody actually posed a question to me on Instagram about the markers I use to create my sketch-a-days, and that, they are beautiful and they love my color work, which is like, yay, because, my color work is probably not as good as it could be. But it was nice to have an actual question rather than people saying, well, you look at my drawings, which I have no problem looking at people's drawings, but I never know what I'm supposed to say other than, practice makes better. And everybody who asks that are invariably littles, and yeah, it's like, it's practice and practice and practice, and you keep practicing, and hopefully you get better. That's what the Sketch-A-Day was. It was a way for me to improve my drawing skills outside of a still life. Because I can still life like nobody's business. Fabric still lifes are like my favorite thing to do when I'm just stuck. Yes, but their question was about the markers I use, which I have over here behind my wonderful Wonder Woman cup. Because one day, DC will actually give us the Wonder Woman movie or TV series that we deserve. But I use these markers called Copic markers. And they come in a couple different types. They come in, this is kind of the standard, and then there's the Chow, and there is a really wide one that I do not own, and then there's like the micron liners. And they're really, really nice, and I really like them. They are expensive, like whoa, and that is not something I particularly care for. But the chows are cheaper than the straight up Copics. Copic, not Coptic. Coptic is, Egyptian. Made in Japan. And it's like if you were using diluted colored India ink, that kind of transparency and layering, but because they're alcohol based, they blend and bleed nicely into each other, so you can get really subtle coloration and shadows. Sometimes I use Prismacolors and Sharpies with them, but less and less as I get more and more of these. So, yes. Zombie Bunny reminds you to like, subscribe, and share.